Today, we're going to be talking about what head coach Dan Quinn wants to see from the Commanders moving forward this season. We're also going to be talking about the Commanders' most recent roster move. And lastly, we're going to be talking about 3 takeaways from last night's loss against the Chicago Bears. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. And let's start with what head coach Dan Quinn had to say in his presser. And so I'm just going to be paraphrasing the key points out of this. If you want to see the entire presser, you can head over to the Commanders YouTube page and you can check it out there. And so, look, I think that the major key point out of what Dan Quinn talked about today was complementary football. And so he starts off the press conference talking about that sometimes the complementary football has shown and sometimes it has not. And so, this kind of goes into just really consistency, which is something that we have talked about with this team. It has been very much up and down, through these games. And so, one of the things that he says is the most concerning is just the complementary football. It has not been consistent. And so this is something that the Commanders are going to have to fix no matter what, as they are getting ready to hit a tough part of the schedule. And then next, one of the things that he talks about or he's asked about is the run fits and things like that. And so he felt like that is something that has improved since last season. But he said in last night's game, the second level run fits just weren't there. And then next, he's asked about the pass rush. And he said like he felt good with the end of half pressure there. So he was talking about some moments where the Commanders did well in the pass rush. And then, just talking about the fact that he loves some stuff, and then there was some stuff that he did not love. And so just talking about some of the stuff that he was looking at here, I guess, after looking at the game. And so he did talk about the effort and the mindset and just wanting the team to continue on and just continue on with that standard. And then next, he just talked about finding something to get this team started early. And so he did talk about possibly, going out there and just maybe spotting the ball and getting into some type of competition here just to kind of get the team going early. So he's asked about just the team getting off, to a better start or whatnot. But one of the last things that he says in his presser, though, is just that he felt like that this was the type of loss that this team will go ahead and lean on. He did mention that he felt like the team would be willing to go ahead and play today. And so, it does sound like that just across the board, the Commanders certainly not happy with this loss, and they want to get back out there to the field. So let's see what happens. Going to be a short week. They got the Dallas Cowboys coming up here on Sunday, and so we'll be talking more about that as the week goes on. And so that's Dan Quinn and his presser. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the Commanders' most recent roster move. And so if you've not got a chance to see this, I got a chance to see this on Adam Schefter's Twitter page here. And so it says that Commanders are signing pass rusher Drake Jackson to their active roster. That's per his agent, Drew Rosenhaus. And so this is pretty much everywhere. And so if you haven't got a chance to see Drake Jackson, man, he's a pretty talented player. And so he's a good defensive end. He actually was with the San Francisco 49ers with Adam Peters in 2022. He was their second round pick, played in 23 games, and he had 3 sacks in each season that he's played in. Now, the issue is that he's returning from a patellar tendon tear in his knee, which happened in 2023. And then I guess from what I'm reading, he just actually got medically cleared. And so there were a couple teams that were interested, including the Commanders. And so he decided to go ahead and go with the Commanders. And again, this is a guy that had 3 sacks in 2022. He had 3 in 2023. He played in 15 games in 2022, and then he played in 8 games in 2023. And he also had an INT in his first season there in 2022. And so if you get a chance to look at just his footage, man, and if you got a chance to look at his games, like, he is super active. I thought that he has great power and quickness off the line of scrimmage. And he reminds me a little bit of Javon Kinlaw. And so I'm not saying that he's him, but he does remind me of that. And what I liked about really some of his clips is that even if he doesn't get the sack, I love the fact that he's putting his arms up and he's getting deflections and things like that. And I loved his motor too. And so let's see if Drake Jackson can maybe get back to that form in 22, 23, because if he does, I think that the Commanders might have a steal here. And so let's see, if he is going to get out there on the field and help the Commanders, but definitely could be a good pickup here. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into just really 3 key takeaways from last night's loss. And so, just kind of going into, again, of just Dan Quinn and the message here. And I think that the 3 things that really came to mind just after looking at this one was, one, the team has to get off to a better start. I think that that's something that just the team has consistently just kind of got behind teams early, just really spotted teams and stuff like that. And so not sure what it's going to take, but the Commanders will absolutely need to get off to a better start. Then next, I just think that the defense has been solid, but man, there were times where it has just been really bad with the missed tackles. I think that we saw that in last night's game. I think that, the missed tackle there, that was tough, but which led to DeAndre Swift scoring the touchdown. But that wasn't the only play. I mean, there were several plays where there were missed tackles and things like that on these screen passes and all kinds of stuff that led to a lot of chunk yards here. And so, just again, man, just getting better, I think, with the fundamentals and things like that, and just tightening those things up will help the Commanders a lot. And then lastly, just playing some more clean football. I think that that is going to be critical for the Commanders, because you're talking about, cleaning up these penalties and things like that. And so I know that the Commanders didn't lead in penalties yesterday, but still, it's just timely penalties that just hurt the team and kind of set them back that way. And then also to the turnovers. And so, yesterday with the turnovers, that really, I think that was really the difference, man, because the turnovers, they just hurt because it led to 13 points for the Chicago Bears. They scored on every single one of the turnovers, including that last turnover, which led to the field goal. And so this is something the Commanders cannot afford to do, again, because the schedule, it's going to get even tougher for the Washington Commanders, because they have the Dallas Cowboys coming up here on Sunday. Then they got to come back, and then they play the Kansas City Chiefs on a Monday night. Then you have the Seahawks. Then you have the Lions. And then you have to travel over to the Dolphins here. And so, a tough patch coming up here for the Washington Commanders, and they really have got to figure things out, because even though the Dallas Cowboys have been struggling, it is going to be a tough game. You're talking about a rival here in your division. They always play them tough, and so this is something that the Commanders are going to have to get back to the standards, starting with this game against the Dallas Cowboys, and just really put a string of good stuff together here. And hopefully with these better starts, you're just not in situations where you're constantly having to claw your way back, because we know that this team did well in that department last season, but this is a totally different year. And I think that this is the type of season where the Commanders need to get out in front and then make the other teams chase them, because right now, the Commanders are getting into situations where they're having to chase, and it's not working out the way that it did a season ago. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking here as far as your key takeaways from yesterday's loss. Also, too, let me know as well with this signing here with Drake Jackson, because again, I think that this could be a solid signing if he can get back to form. And again, he's been out with the knee injury. And so let's see if Adam Peters has found another value signing here, because, man, he looks awfully good with the highlights and things like that, and certainly could help this defense, with the run support and especially getting after the quarterback. And so let's see what happens there. And then lastly, let me know what you guys are thinking here from what Dan Quinn had to say. I think that the biggest message here is just play complementary football and be consistent. If this team can do that, I think that they are going to like the results. And so you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.